Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. The moment you realize your worth, the moment you own your strength, the game changes. The chains break, the manipulation stops. Because when you become too strong for a narcissist, you stop playing their game and start winning yours. See, a narcissist thrives on control. They feed on your doubt, your need for validation, your insecurities. They twist reality to keep you second guessing yourself. But guess what? You're done with that. You're done being a puppet in someone else's toxic drama. Today, I want to show you what happens when you step up, reclaim your power, and become untouchable. You ready? Let's go. Own your self-worth. Let's get one thing straight. You were born powerful. You were born with an identity that no one has the right to take away from you. But somewhere along the way, life happened. People told you who you should be, what you should do, and how much you're worth. A narcissist thrives on making you forget that truth. They plant seeds of doubt, little whispers that make you question your own greatness. But today, we rip those weeds out of your mind for good. When you own your self-worth, you don't ask for permission. You don't need someone else to tell you that you're enough because you know it. Deep inside, you've always known it. The problem is you've spent too much time looking outward for validation, and every time you did, you handed over a piece of your power. No more. It stops today. A narcissist doesn't control you with force. They control you with perception. They make you believe you need them. They make you believe that without their approval, you are less than. But let me ask you something. Who were you before they walked into your life? Who were you before someone convinced you that you needed to shrink to make them comfortable? That person, that's the real you. It's time to bring them back. Reclaiming your self-worth isn't about shouting to the world that you matter. It's about knowing it so deeply that no one, not a narcissist, not society, not even your past, can take it away from you. It's about walking into a room and radiating confidence without saying a word. It's about standing in your truth so firmly that when someone tries to shake you, they fail every single time. For the first time in a huge minute, Justin Grenshow's audience feels success rather than failure with an altered K. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to seek validation from people who have no idea what it means to love unconditionally. Because the moment you start seeking approval, you give them the power to deny it. And that is where they win. That is where they manipulate. That is where they keep you small. But you are not small. Your worth is not determined by someone else's inability to see it. Read that again. Just because a narcissist refuses to acknowledge your greatness doesn't mean it's not there. Their blindness is not your burden. Their insecurities are not your responsibility. Their need to control is not a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of their own brokenness. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you choose to stand tall. You don't owe anyone an apology for refusing to be manipulated. The moment you decide that your worth is non-negotiable, the game changes. The moment you declare, I am enough, you take back every piece of yourself that was ever stolen. There will be people who try to convince you otherwise. There will be moments where the old doubts creep in, whispering the lies you once believed. But here's the truth. You get to rewrite the story. You get to decide what you believe about yourself. And if you choose to believe in your power, there is nothing that can stop you. Owning your self-worth means walking away from anything and anyone that makes you feel less than whole. It means refusing to engage in toxic cycles. It means knowing that love does not require suffering, and that true strength is not found in enduring pain, but in choosing peace. It means understanding that you are the prize. You are the light. You are the force of nature that cannot be dimmed. A narcissist will try to convince you otherwise, but that's because they see your light and fear it. They envy it. They try to steal it, but they can't because it's yours. And today, you take it back. When you know your worth, you don't chase, you don't beg, you don't shrink yourself to fit into someone else's small idea of who you should be. You rise, you expand, you claim your space in this world unapologetically. The most dangerous thing to a narcissist is a person who no longer seeks their approval. The most powerful thing you can do is stand in your truth and say, I don't need you to tell me who I am. I know who I am. Because when you do that, they lose all control. They lose their grip. And you become unstoppable. This is your moment. This is your breakthrough. From this second forward, you own your self-worth like your life depends on it, because it does. Master your emotion. A narcissist wants one thing from you, your reaction. They live for it. They thrive on it. Every time you get angry, every time you explain yourself, every time you let them push your buttons, they win, because that's the game. They want to control you, and the easiest way to do that is by controlling how you feel. But here's the truth. When you master your emotions, you become untouchable. Think about it. How many times have you been manipulated into reacting? How many times has someone twisted the situation, made you feel guilty, made you feel crazy? That's not an accident. That's a strategy. They poke you just enough to make you explode, and then when you do, they turn it around on you. They call you emotional, irrational, too sensitive, but guess what? That stops today. So while it's not the first time, you are not a puppet. You are not here to be played. Your emotions are yours, not theirs. And once you realize that, once you take back control, the game is over for them. They lose the moment you stop reacting. They lose the moment you decide, I will not give my energy to someone who feeds off my pain. Now, let me be clear. Mastering your emotions does not mean suppressing them. It does not mean pretending you don't feel hurt or angry. No. It means owning your emotions so completely that no one else can use them against you. It means understanding that you can feel something without being ruled by it. You can acknowledge the pain without letting it control your decisions. This is about power, a real power, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself, the kind that stands firm in the storm and doesn't waver. Because here's the reality. People will test you. Life will test you. A narcissist will push every single button you have, and if you let them, they will own you. But when you stand tall, when you refuse to engage, when you say, I control my emotions, they do not control me, everything changes. Imagine this. You're in a situation where someone is trying to provoke you. They're gaslighting, lying, twisting reality. And instead of reacting, instead of feeding into their chaos, you pause. You take a breath. You let the storm pass right through you. You don't flinch. You don't argue. You don't defend yourself. You just look them in the eye, smile, and walk away. Do you know what that does to them? It destroys them because they need your reaction. And when you don't give it, they lose all power. Your ability to remain calm in chaos is your greatest weapon. Your ability to walk away instead of engage is your greatest strength. This is about emotional discipline. This is about knowing that your peace is worth more than their approval. This is about choosing yourself over their game every single time. Because here's what they don't want you to know. You have all the power. They've spent so much time convincing you that they're in control, but they're not. They only win when you play. And the moment you stop playing, they're left with nothing. No fuel, no reaction, no way to keep you trapped. That is freedom. So from this moment on, you take a vow to yourself, a vow that says, no one gets to control how I feel. No one gets to manipulate my emotions. No one gets to pull me into their chaos. You choose peace. You choose power. You choose to rise above. And when you do, you will notice something incredible. People who once had power over you suddenly have none. Conversations that used to leave you drained suddenly don't affect you. The same tricks, the same mind games that used to keep you up at night now seem ridiculous. That's what happens when you master your emotions. That's what happens when you stop giving your energy to the wrong people. This is your life. These are your emotions. Take them back. Control them. Master them. Because the second you do, you become the one thing a narcissist fears most. Stop explaining yourself. How many times have you found yourself in a conversation where you're justifying your actions, your feelings, your decisions? How many times have you repeated yourself hoping that if you just explain things the right way, they'll finally understand? But here's the truth. A narcissist doesn't care about understanding. They care about control. And every time you explain yourself, you hand them the power. Let me say that again. Every time you explain yourself to someone who has already decided to misunderstand you, you give them control over your energy. You keep playing their game. You keep looking for clarity in a place that only exists to confuse you. And that is exactly where they want you. Stuck, doubting yourself, exhausting yourself, trying to prove what you already know to be true. But let's flip the script. Let's take back that power. Because when you stop explaining, when you stop justifying, when you stop seeking approval, you send a message loud and clear. I don't need you to validate my reality. And when a narcissist realizes they can't make you question yourself anymore, they start to lose their grip on you. That's when the dynamic shifts. That's when you take the lead. Listen, your truth does not require someone else's permission. Your decisions do not need to be defended. Your feelings do not need to be justified. If you say no, it's no. If you set a boundary, it stands. If you decide to walk away, that's the end of the discussion. No explanations, no debates, no back and forth. Because here's the thing, a narcissist doesn't actually want an explanation. They want an argument. They want a chance to twist your words, to manipulate your intentions, to pull you back into their web. The moment you start explaining, you give them exactly what they need to keep you engaged. And that's where they trap you. That's where they make you doubt yourself. That's where they make you feel like you owe them something. But you don't owe them a damn thing. Not your time, not your energy, and definitely not your explanations. The moment you understand that, the game changes. The moment you realize that silence is more powerful than arguing, you become dangerous to them. Because they don't know what to do when you don't engage. They don't know how to control someone who refuses to play their game. So from now on, you stand firm. You state your truth once, just once, and then you leave it there. No more repeating yourself. No more defending yourself. No more trying to get someone to see your side when they have no interest in doing so. If someone refuses to respect your decision, that's their problem, not yours. This is what true confidence looks like. It's knowing that your choices are valid because you made them. It's knowing that your boundaries are real because you set them. It's knowing that your worth is unquestionable because you define it. No one else, not a narcissist, not a manipulator, not someone who thrives on making you doubt yourself. You decide, you lead, you own it. And the best part, the moment you stop explaining yourself, people start taking you more seriously. Because when you don't justify your decisions, people recognize that you mean business. When you don't engage in pointless arguments, people see that you are secure in who you are. And that's when the right people, people who respect and value you, start showing up in your life. So from this moment on, make a commitment to yourself, a commitment that says, I do not owe anyone an explanation for being who I am, a commitment that says, my boundaries are not a request, they are a requirement. A commitment that says, I will no longer waste my energy trying to convince someone of my worth because I already know it. Because when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop defending your right to exist as you are, you become untouchable. And when you become untouchable, no narcissist can ever manipulate you again. Build an unshakable mindset. Everything starts in the mind, your power, your freedom, your ability to walk away from toxic people without looking back. A narcissist doesn't just manipulate your emotions, they manipulate your mindset. They plant doubts, they twist reality. They make you question what you know to be true. Because if they can control your mind, they can control you. But the second you build an unshakable mindset, their power over you is gone. Think about it. Every single time you fell for their lies, every time you second-guessed yourself, every time you felt like you needed them, it wasn't because you weren't strong. It was because your mindset wasn't fortified. It was because they knew exactly how to find the cracks in your confidence and slip through. But those cracks, we're sealing them today. From this moment forward, no one gets to manipulate the way you see yourself. An unshakable mindset means that no matter what happens, you don't fold. No matter what someone says about you, you don't break. No matter how much someone tries to twist the truth, you stand firm in what you know. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that truly matters is what you believe about yourself. And if you believe you are strong, worthy, and unstoppable, then nothing can take that away from you. Set boundaries like a warrior. Boundaries aren't requests. Boundaries aren't suggestions. Boundaries are law. And the moment you start treating them that way, the moment you enforce them like your life depends on it, because it does. You take away a narcissist's number one weapon, their ability to cross the line. Here's the truth. A narcissist hates boundaries. They despise them. Why? Because boundaries mean they can't control you. Boundaries mean they can't walk all over you. Boundaries mean you have a standard, a code, a non-negotiable level of respect that you demand. And nothing terrifies them more than someone who refuses to be manipulated. But let me ask you, how many times have you bent your boundaries to keep the peace? How many times have you let things slide because you didn't want to deal with the drama? How many times have you said never again, only to find yourself back in the same toxic situation? That ends today. From this moment forward, you enforce your boundaries with the strength of a warrior. No hesitation, no guilt, no second guessing. Because here's what they don't tell you. Every time you let a boundary slide, you teach people that it was never real. You show them that your words are empty. You give them permission to keep pushing, keep testing, keep seeing how much they can get away with. And a narcissist, they will take a mile every time you give an inch. They will exploit every single moment of hesitation, every ounce of doubt. That's why you have to make your boundaries like steel, immovable, unbreakable, absolute. A boundary is not something you explain. It's not something you debate. It's not something you apologize for. It's something you state, enforce, and walk away from if it's not respected. No warnings, no drawn-out conversations, no second chances for repeat offenders. Because people who respect you will honor your boundaries without being told twice. People who don't, they were never meant to be in your life in the first place. So how do you set boundaries like a warrior? First, you identify what is non-negotiable for you. What behavior will you no longer tolerate? What lines will you never allow to be crossed? What energy will you refuse to entertain? Write it down. Get crystal clear on it. Because if you don't know your boundaries, how can you expect anyone else to respect them? Next, you make them known. No vague statements, no passive hints. You say it clearly, directly, with no room for misinterpretation. I do not tolerate disrespect. I will not be guilt-tripped or manipulated. If you lie to me, you lose access to me. Simple, direct, final. A narcissist will try to argue. They will try to twist it. They will try to make you feel like the problem. But here's where the real power move comes in. You don't engage. You don't explain. You don't defend. You just enforce. And that's the key, enforcement. A boundary without enforcement is just a wish. If someone crosses your line, they need to feel the consequence. You remove your energy. You remove your time. You remove access. No empty threats. No one more chance. They break it, they lose the privilege of being in your space, period. You see, the strongest boundaries are the ones you don't even need to announce, because your energy, your presence, your way of carrying yourself already makes them clear. You show up as someone who will not tolerate nonsense. You move like someone who respects themselves too much to entertain toxic games. And when you do that, the people who thrive on disrespect won't even come near you. They'll know they can't manipulate you. They'll know they can't control you. They'll know they can't win. A narcissist will push, they will test, they will do everything they can to break down your boundaries. But when you stand firm, when you refuse to let them through that wall, you starve them of their power. You take back every ounce of control they once had. And that is how you win. Not by fighting, not by explaining, but by standing so strong in your boundaries that nothing and no one can shake you. So from this moment forward, you make a commitment to yourself. A commitment that says, I do not allow disrespect in my life. A commitment that says, I do not bend my boundaries for people who refuse to honor them. A commitment that says, if someone crosses the line, they lose access to me, no exceptions. Because when you enforce your boundaries like a warrior, you don't just protect yourself, you set the standard for how the world treats you. And that is power no one can take away. Never seek closure from a narcissist. Closure is a trap. A narcissist dangles it in front of you like bait, making you think that if you just have one more conversation, if you just explain yourself one last time, if you just hear their side of the story, you'll finally get the peace you deserve. But let me tell you the truth. There is no closure with a narcissist. There's only another round of manipulation, another chance for them to pull you back in, another opportunity for them to mess with your mind one last time. How many times have you gone back hoping for a real apology? How many times have you thought, maybe if I just say it this way, they'll finally understand? How many times have you sat there replaying the entire relationship in your head, searching for an answer that will never come? That stops today. Because the truth is, the only closure you will ever get is the closure you create for yourself. A narcissist will never give you a genuine apology. They will never acknowledge their wrongdoing in a way that satisfies your need for truth. If they do apologize, it's only to manipulate you further. It's only to keep you engaged. It's only to plant just enough doubt in your mind that you start questioning whether they were really that bad in the first place. That's not closure, that's control. They don't want you to move on. They don't want you to heal. They want you stuck in the cycle, waiting for answers that will never come, waiting for validation that they will never give you. Because as long as you're seeking closure from them, you're still giving them power. You're still emotionally tied to them, and that's exactly what they want. But here's what they don't expect. You deciding that you don't need closure. You deciding that the way they treated you was closure enough. You deciding that their behavior, their lies, their disrespect was all the evidence you needed to walk away for good. That is power. That is freedom. That is how you break the cycle and take your life back. Closure is not something they give you. Closure is something you take. It's a decision. It's a mindset. It's looking at the situation and saying, I don't need a final conversation. I don't need an explanation. I don't need to understand why they did what they did. I just need to understand that I deserve better. And that's enough for me to walk away. And let's be real, what exactly are you hoping to hear from them? That they regret it? That they finally understand how much they hurt you? That they see the damage they've done? That's never going to happen. Even if they say the words, they won't mean them. And even if they do regret losing you, it's not because they care, it's because they lost their supply, because they lost their ability to control you. That's not regret, that's just ego. You don't need their regret. You don't need their acknowledgement. You don't need them to validate your pain for it to be real. What happened to you was real. The way they treated you was real. The damage they caused was real. But so is your power to heal. So is your ability to move forward. So is your strength to decide right now that you are done searching for answers from someone who was never honest to begin with. So from this moment forward, you make a new rule for yourself. No more looking back. No more replaying the past, searching for closure that doesn't exist. No more waiting for an apology that will never come. You give yourself closure by understanding that you don't need them to release you. You release yourself. You set yourself free. You take back every ounce of energy you wasted on them and redirect it into building the life you deserve. A narcissist only wins if you stay emotionally invested. The second you stop waiting for closure, the second you accept that you will never get the answers you were hoping for, the second you decide that your peace is more important than their lies, that's the second you take your power back. That's the second you become untouchable. That's the second you move from victim to victor. So if you've been sitting there waiting for that one last conversation, waiting for that final piece of the puzzle, waiting for them to finally admit the truth, let this be your wake-up call. You are the closure. You walking away and never looking back is the closure. You choosing yourself is the closure. No explanations, no final words, no second chances, just the realization that their presence in your life is no longer required. And when you do that, when you take back your power and close the door yourself, that's when the healing truly begins. That's when you step into the next chapter of your life, stronger, wiser, and completely free. Rise and rebuild, becoming untouchable. Now, this is where everything changes. This is where you step into the strongest version of yourself. This is where you stop surviving and start thriving. Because let's get one thing straight. You didn't go through all of this just to stay broken. You didn't suffer, struggle, and fight your way through hell just to remain the same. No. You went through this to rise. You went through this to become untouchable. Because let's be real, the person you were before, that person allowed too much. That person ignored red flags. That person gave too many chances. That person doubted their own power. But that version of you, that version is gone. That version has been burned away, and what's left is something stronger than ever before. What's left is someone who doesn't just bounce back, they rise up and rebuild into something that no narcissist, no manipulator, no abuser will ever be able to break again. That version of you will be burned away to awaken all the values you already have. This is the part where you stop focusing on them and start focusing on you. This is the part where your energy shifts from what they did to you to what you are doing for yourself, because they are done. They are irrelevant. They no longer exist in your world. The only person that matters now is you. The only story that matters now is the one you're about to write. And that story is about power, freedom, and unstoppable growth. A narcissist wants you to stay stuck in the pain. They want you to stay bitter, angry, and obsessed with what happened. Because as long as you're focused on them, you're still giving them power. But when you shift, when you make the decision to rebuild so strong that nothing can shake you again, that's when you become their worst nightmare. That's when they realize they never actually broke you. They just woke up something in you that can never be controlled again. So what does rising and rebuilding look like? It looks like reclaiming every piece of yourself that they tried to destroy. It looks like setting bigger goals than you ever had before. It looks like stepping into your confidence like you own the world. It looks like surrounding yourself with people who lift you higher instead of dragging you down. It looks like waking up every day with a fire inside you that refuses to be dimmed. It looks like becoming someone so powerful that even the thought of going back to the past makes you laugh because you're too busy building your future. You survived for a reason. You made it through for a reason. And that reason is to become everything you were meant to be. No more fear, no more looking back, no more playing small. This is your time. This is your moment. This is the beginning of the greatest comeback the world has ever seen. And it starts right now. And the victory meal and the victory messy, rise up, rebuild, become untouchable. Because the best revenge, the best closure, the best way to win is to live a life so powerful that they never even enter your mind again. Everything we've talked about, breaking free, setting boundaries, refusing to seek closure, rising and rebuilding, it all comes down to one undeniable truth. You are stronger than anything that has ever tried to break you. You didn't just survive, you evolved. You became something greater than the pain, greater than the manipulation, greater than the past. And now you step into your power like never before.